Hello, I decided to take a video of my DIY compact soldering system. There is no place on my diminutive bench for several stands, so I decided to modify a stand that came with the Chinese desoldering gun. It is metallic, heavy and sturdy. Here you see a knockoff of the JBC C245 handle, marked as OSS team product, and I can say it's of really excellent quality. I don't see how the original could be any better. Excellent strain relief and lightweight. Have been using it already for quite a bit of time and have no problems whatsoever. The orange sleeve is from a Hakko iron handle. I connected the station to a power meter to show power consumption of the C245. At the startup, the cartridge uses about 160 watts of power. Then the power consumption naturally drops and it stays at a few watts to maintain the set temperature. I use this iron when more power is needed for larger ground planes and so on. In the stand I made separate slots for each of my irons using large nuts of appropriate diameter, filing them to the appropriate size. Each of them is isolated by Teflon standoffs, both from each other and from the stand, and connected to the stations for sleep function to work. It might be better to have separate stands for each of the irons, but in my case that is simply not an option, as I simply have not enough space on the work table. I also have 90 watt soldering tweezers by At10, 45 watts each tip. As you see here, they are heated up to 300 degrees. This station uses a 12-volt toroidal transformer with a diode bridge and smoothing capacitors as a power source. For controlling the power of the tweezers, I installed two cheap Chinese controllers, one for each of the tips. These tweezers work fine, though I do not use them that often. The same station is powering the C210 handle. Here I switch it on. As you can see, the heat up time is instant. The handle for this iron is also a knockoff marked OSS Team. Quality is excellent. Now back to the stand. You see two connectors for each of the stations, transferring the sleep mode functionality from the irons. Under the irons, some additional aluminum plates can be seen, which I later removed to simplify things. The other station is also made using a 230 watts toroidal transformer. It powers both C245 and Hakko T12 irons, which can be used simultaneously. Here you can see a short demonstration of how fast the irons heat up when removed from their respective slots. And when in the slot, they instantly switch to sleep mode. Some might question why I included in my soldering kit a Hakko iron. Because all of the tasks, true, they can easily be accomplished with the C210 or C245 irons. And it is true that most of the jobs I use, for most of the jobs I use the C210 handle. It's got enough power and is very convenient to work with, very lightweight, very easy to use. When more power is needed, the C245 can be used, but that is true only partially. Before I explain the main reason for still using Hakko T12, I want to mention how convenient is this Hakko iron. You can see here a short demonstration of how easy it is to change tips for this iron. It almost can be done one-handed, no tools needed, nothing. Just press the two clips, remove it, and put in a new one. The handle together with the tip is even lighter than the C245. It's a very, very convenient iron. You have to hold it in your hand to see. Here you can see how quickly the Hakko iron gets to temperature. One thing to mention is that in the original Hakko station, the sleep mode is implemented quite differently. In the stand, it uses a micro switch which is pressed when the iron is in the stand. And I suppose that is a better option, because in my case, if the tip gets fully oxidized, it might lose contact with the slot or the metallic nut which it is put in. But in practice, the part of the tip that is closest to the sleeve never oxidizes enough, or has not yet oxidized enough in my case. And also, as I said, I do not use this iron that often, so it is not an issue at all. At least so far I have not encountered any problems with the sleep mode. It works just fine. The handle I use is original made by Hakko, because Chinese copies are either of a different style and I do not like them, or the ones that are made to look like real Hakko are of very low quality. So I decided to purchase an original handle, and this one is really of high quality, and I have no complaints about it. It's very convenient, very lightweight, very easy to use, as I've said. Now to the main reason why I included Hakko in my system, and that is the availability of specialty tips, and let me emphasize, as knockoffs. What I mean is, for example, these spatula type tips, which are very useful for certain tasks, like tinning large areas with solder, removing large pin array components, preparing BGA sites, and so on and so on. And they have very high thermal capacity, so they melt anything there is to melt, even at lower temperatures. For JBC, they are available only as originals, for which you would spend a fortune. For Hakko, you can get Chinese copies, and at least these ones that I got work just fine. I have been using them for quite some time without any issues at all. They're just fine. Back to the hot tweezers. I like this A10 unit. It's well made, and most importantly, is very cheap. I've been thinking of making a separate slot for the tweezers, which would hold it, something like that. And the sleep function would also be implemented that way. But in reality, I use them so rarely that I could not be bothered. It might be viable though if you use tweezers continuously for prolonged periods of time. And the soldering gun can still be used with this stand. I assembled the kit with the workspace constraints in mind. My little lab is just 1 meter wide. Is it like smallest lab in the world? Could be. I hope you found something interesting in this video and maybe some ideas to implement in your own circumstances. Thank you for watching.